Then in 1939 was the outbreak of the Second World War, and this was another step on the road towards the NHS because we had a national system of caring for the sick, of caring for the wounded during that time. And one of the logical conclusions to that was obviously if we could do this during wartime and help people during that time, then we were able to do it during peacetime as well, which followed soon after the Second World War. In 1942, a civil servant called William Beveridge wrote a report on the state of British society and the problems within our society. And basically what he said was that we had what he called 5 giant evils in our society. One of those giant evils was a lack of good healthcare, and he proposed a national system of free healthcare whereby everyone in the population was able to access healthcare for free.
As the result of much intensive study into questions of social security, Sir William Beveridge is the recognised authority on present-day and post-war problems.
The security plan in my report has 3 sides to it. The report proposes, first, an all-in scheme of social insurance, providing for all citizens and their families all the cash benefits needed for security, in return for a single weekly contribution by 1 insurance stamp. The benefits are to be adequate in amount and to last as long as the need lasts. The report proposes, second, a scheme of children's allowances to be paid both when the responsible parent is earning and when he is not earning. The report proposes, third, an all-in scheme of medical treatment of all kinds for all citizens. The national minimum is a peculiarly British idea. It means that no one is to fall below a certain standard. It leaves everyone free to spend his income above that standard as he will. It preserves the maximum of individual freedom and responsibility that is consistent with the abolition of want. That is the aim of my report, as shortly as I can put it. I hope that when you've been able to study the report in detail, you'll like it, that it'll get adopted, and that so we shall take the first step to security with freedom and responsibility. That is what we all desire.
Thank you, Sir William.
Obviously you will know that the Second World War came to an end in 1945, and many people expected Winston Churchill, who had been in power during the Second World War, to win an election victory. But what in actual fact happened was the Labour Party, under the leader Clement Attlee, won a landslide victory in the 1945 general election, and they promised to instigate a lot of the policies suggested by William Beveridge in his 1942 report.
Mr. Churchill flew back from Potsdam with his daughter Mary on what was to be almost his last day as Prime Minister. Mrs. Churchill was there, as always, to greet him. Electors at Mr. Churchill's constituency, Woodford, gave him a strong vote of confidence. His opponent, Farmer Hancock, seemed to have no hard feelings as he and Mrs. Churchill heard the result. Labour's Big Three were elected with handsome majorities. Mr. Herbert Morrison, tipped as Britain's Chancellor of the Exchequer, romped home at East Lewisham. Later, Mr. Morrison said, "We will rebuild London. We will build a fine Great Britain and a prosperous world." On the eve of Labour's landslide, Mr. Ernest Bevin was assisting little Susan Hare to open cottages at the Merchant Seaman's Home at Limpsfield, Surrey. Mr. Bevin, Labour's probable choice as Foreign Secretary, will join Mr. Attlee in the concluding stages of the Berlin Conference. Though defeated, Mr. Churchill is acclaimed as a great war leader. Out of the election melting pot comes his successor. Confidently, he faces his responsibility to Britain and the world.
The sweeping victories throughout the country mark an epoch in the political life of this country. Never before have the electors shown clearly their desire that there should be in this country a Labour government carrying out Labour's full policy. I am certain that this election has been one in which the electors have thought deeply on the fundamental questions of the future, and they realize that Labour is the party of the future and that Labour's policy is the only policy that can lead us to peace abroad and social justice at home.
And obviously then the NHS followed in 1948, which was a whole new system of free healthcare for the population, free at the point of delivery and without barrier that we still have today.
On July 5th, the new National Health Service starts, providing hospital and specialist services, medicines, drugs and appliances, care of the teeth and eyes, maternity services. Have you chosen your family doctor? If not, ask your doctor now if he'll look after you under the new scheme. If he can't accept you, ask at the post office for the address of the Executive Council, where you'll be given the names of other doctors in your area who are taking part in the new service. Ask the doctor you choose for an application form for each member of your family. You can also get these forms from the Executive Council office, the post office, or the public library. Fill in the form like this. One form has to be filled in for each member of the family and then handed over to your doctor. Now don't forget, choose your doctor now.